Here we go.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? 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 Welcome in to the live stream. Hope everyone is doing great. I'm going to send the link into the Discord, and we're going to start answering the questions. Appreciate you all stopping by. Hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. What's up, Tyron? What's up, Dad? What's good, y'all? Any lock pick'ems that you suggest for underdog today? I don't have anything, honestly. I think tonight the best picks are anything rushing yards for A-Chain, rushing yards for James Cook, and then I like touchdown for both those guys as well. That's great. I love watching those cop chase things. It always happens in California. If you go to the bet, like in the middle of the night, there will always be those occurring. All right. What's up, Ron? Quinshon Judkins, Coleman, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Warren, Tony Pollard. Great question. The rankings are all up on Patreon, by the way, for all the Patreon members. Okay. I would play Ricky Pearsall and I would play Coleman. Nope. I'm playing Warren and Ricky Pearsall. I'm doing pretty good, Pat. Got a W. What's good, Nick? You think Keon's going to have a big game today? I think he'll have a good enough game today to be startable. I wouldn't say like belt to ass numbers, but I think he has a pretty good game. All right. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Okay. BTJ, JSN, Tet McMillan, and Ridley. Okay. This is easy. BTJ, JSN, Tet. And then you're going to go Genty and Brees Hall. Ricky Pearsall or Hollywood Ricky. Who won this trade? Pacheco and Jameson for Waddle and Hampton? That's a good question. I would prefer Waddle and Hampton. ETN or Chuba? ETN. Hampton or Stephon Diggs? Hampton. Flex 1. You guys see Hampton? I mean, do you guys see that Diggs is apparently having 3 different kids with 3 different women, allegedly? It's just alleged. Don't take me down, Stephon Diggs. Just alleged. And he's definitely having a baby with Stephon Diggs. What a guy. I mean, with Cardi B. What a guy. Flex 1, PPR. JCM, Pearsall, Downs, Troy. I would play Pearsall. Keon or Higgins. I would go Higgins. Yeah, make sure you guys are in the Discord. Join the Discord. Spock linked it. It's always in the description of every single video. Make sure you guys are in there. Like swimwear. There's always a lot of people in there. And it just keeps getting bigger. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Smooth Criminal. Entertainment. Thank you. Trade. Chase Brown and Egbuka for Nico and Coleman. Great question. At this point, I would rather have Chase Brown and Egbuka. I get that Chase Brown's value right now is relatively low. I understand that. But I think that Chase Brown's going to be able to keep his head over water. Like, I don't think Chase Brown is now magically like a running back 3. I get he hasn't even played that well with Joe Burrow. But to me, he feels like a pretty reliable running back 2. Egbuka, to me, feels like a wide receiver 2 every single week when he's healthy. Nico Collins is definitely hitting the issue, in my opinion, with the quarterback play just not being that great, as well as the issue with the offensive line not being that great, and that's really hampering Nico Collins. I'm not on like the panic train for Nico Collins. Like, I'm still playing him, obviously, with confidence because Nico Collins has been good. When the offensive line was terrible, when the team was bad, he has still been good. So, like, I don't think it's necessarily like DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1, I guess, when it comes to Nico Collins, but there's question marks. Coleman, like, yes, I think he's the wide receiver 1 on the team, but even if he's the wide receiver 1, it's not like he is definitively the number 1. Like, they spread the ball a ton. So I think I'd rather have Chase Brown and Egbuka. Do I think that this is a terrible trade? Like, if you were going to go ahead and if you were getting Nico Collins and Coleman, like, I don't think this is like you're getting fleeced. Like, this seems pretty even to me. I just think, honestly, when push comes to shove, the season could end and Egbuka could finish higher than Nico Collins. And I think Chase Brown is a much safer bet than Keon Coleman. Again, this is not me fully hating on Nico Collins or Coleman. Hopefully you don't take it that way. But yeah, I'd prefer Chase Brown and Ibuka. Fresh Crimps, thank you for the super chat. Sutton, Quentin Johnston, or McLaurin. 1 for the flex, 1 wide receiver, 2 half PPR. Great question. Now, McLaurin has been one of the most frustrating players to roster in fantasy this season so far. He's dealing with the fact that he wasn't able to practice because he was holding out. And when you hold out like that and you're not practicing, it kind of leads to when you're back and actually playing with the team, you're just not in the right spot, right? You don't have that chemistry with the quarterback that he previously had. Eventually, that connection will rekindle, and eventually he will start to play a lot better. Now, right now where we are sitting, we're 3 weeks into the scenario. He got way more targets last week. They might not play Jaden Daniels. They might play Jaden Daniels. Based on what I've read most recently, it seems like Jaden Daniels will play, but again, I wouldn't bet my house on that. Either way, though, I think that I would be going Terry and Courtland Sutton. Again, it's week 3. I'm trying not to completely overthink everything, right? Week 1, Courtland Sutton comes out the gate. He's the clear wide receiver 1 in the Denver Broncos. Week 2, the game comes to a close and Courtland Sutton's nowhere to be found. He's invisible, right? Do we really think that Courtland Sutton is going to be invisible for the rest of the season and Troy Franklin is now the wide receiver 1? I wouldn't think so. I understand that he has that connection with Troy Franklin going back to Oregon, but I don't think that he is magically now Sutton's lost all of his value. So I'm going to stick with Sutton. I'm going to stick with McLaurin. I'm not overthinking things. Now, if we fast forward to next week and Terry McLaurin's still bad and Sutton has been dethroned by Troy Franklin, then we panic. But as of right now, we're not panicking yet. So I would stick with Sutton and McLaurin. Juan O, thank you for the super chat. Trades James Conner and get Ted McMillan. That is a great question. Personally, I think things are going to get better for Ted McMillan, and I think things could get worse for James Conner. I don't think that means you trade James Conner for a half-eaten bag of potato chips, but if they continue to move the ball more in the favor of Trey Benson, the second running back on the team, I would personally rather have Ted McMillan. Now, the question really lies with Juan is who else is on your team, right? Because if you're just making this trade, this is the guy that's going to be your flex. I definitely want Ted McMillan. But if this is a scenario where you're making the trade and you're relying on James Conner every single week to be your running back too, I don't think I'd be able to swing that. If you have good enough running back depth, Juan, you can leave it in the chat and I will read it. Who your running backs are, I feel good making this trade. So personally, I would prefer Ted McMillan. Personally. If only Ted had a good quarterback, look, you're good at running back. You have Bijan and Chase Brown. Okay, go right ahead and make that trade. Go right ahead and make that trade. But yeah, I think Bryce Young is fine. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's going to get better, but let's be honest, based on what we've seen, I get what you're saying, right? Last year, he looked really good to finish. Last week, he looked very good to finish the game. He looked terrible in the first half, though, so I get it. Love the content, bro. Been watching for years, and you've helped a lot. Thank you, Garrett. I really appreciate that. Start 2. Pearsall, Pickens, or Sutton. Thank you for the super chat. 3 Cardinals DBs are injured, too. Yeah, there's a lot of teams in the NFL right now that are just severely injured. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line, I think there might only be 1 or 2 guys that were like set as starters in the summer that are actually healthy enough to play on the offensive line. There are multiple injuries to the Bills, multiple injuries to the Cardinals. Everyone is fucking hurt. And it's crazy because it's only week 3, right? When we're experiencing this in like week 10, no one's shocked. But because it's week 3, to me, it's a lot more shocking. Pearsall, Pickens, or Sutton. Man, oh man. I don't think I can talk myself into sitting Sutton again after 1 down game. Between Pearsall and Pickens, I have Pickens ranked slightly ahead of Pearsall. I have Pickens 26, Pearsall 31. The way I would think about this question is based upon strictly your own risk tolerance. Ricky Pearsall is very safe. Ricky Pearsall is not going to blow your team up metaphorically where he scores 6 fantasy points, right? I just don't think that's really in the range of outcomes for Ricky Pearsall. Whereas I think I could see Pickens up against the Bears. I could see Pickens scoring 30 fantasy points. I'm not even kidding. I could see Pickens elbow dropping everyone, putting up a big game. And I agree with you, Caitlin. The tight ends have been brutal. But I could see him putting up like a gigantic game, and I could see him shitting the bed. Whereas Pearsall, it's a lot safer of a bet every week, right? You kind of know what you're getting. He should be the wide receiver 1 on the team. Mac Jones isn't the best, but Mac Jones did kind of like Jawan Jennings a little bit more. So I'm going to lean with Pickens. If it's I'm taking this as if it's my fantasy team. Now, you guys have to understand that I am much more risky compared to some of you guys, right? I'm willing to take on maybe more risk because maybe that's just because I like sports betting, things like that. I just inherently am more of a risky type of player. If it's my team, I'm going with the risk. We're going Sutton and we're going Pickens. If you're scared of Sutton, you're like, Nick, I don't fucking want to touch Sutton. I'm scared of Sutton. So you're putting Sutton in and then you're playing Pickens. That's too risky for you. Then play Pearsall and Sutton. But I would go if it's my team, Sutton and Pickens. I do get what you're saying, though. FZ Ware, Judkins or Pacheco PPR? This is another question that is strictly risk tolerance based. I don't think Quinshon Judkins is going to do that good up against the Packers, but I do think he might be slightly safer. Right? I think he might be just a little bit safer than Pacheco. But if it's my team, I probably lean with Pacheco. I have them ranked one ahead of the other. I have Judkins ranked ahead of Pacheco because I feel like with Pacheco this week, we have such a good matchup, right? This feels like the kind of game where Pacheco goes absolutely nuclear, right? Because the Giants matchup is cupcake matchup for running back. But there's also the chance that, hey, they still play a bunch of Kareem Hunt. And maybe he just doesn't look that good. If it's my team, though, I would lean with Pacheco. And I think I'm going to bump Pacheco ahead of Judkins. So I would go Pacheco. Hawkinson or Ferguson? At this point, I'm going Ferguson. Could Carson Wentz revive Hawkinson? Yes. He could 100% revive Hawkinson. But based on where we're sitting right now, man, it just hasn't looked good for Hawkinson. It's almost like the offense just forgets he's there. They don't have Jordan Addison. They have Adam Thielen out there. They have Jalen Naylor and Justin Jefferson, and they're just not involving Hawkinson. Like, it sucks. So I would go Ferguson. He just feels way safer. Jim Lynch, thank you for the super chat, my man. Start Mason or Chuba Hubbard? This is a great question because this is going to be one that a lot of people might be dealing with, right? If you listen to me in the summer and you heard me jabber on about how you need to draft Chuba Hubbard, you heard me jabbering on about how you need to draft Mason, then you might be in the scenario where these two guys are on your team. And sadly, Chuba Hubbard actually went ahead of ADP in a lot of my leagues. And I wasn't able to get him, and that really sucked because I did like him a ton. I would go Mason. I really do think that the game plan for the Vikings is to spam the ball. Like, you ever played in Madden where spam rush the ball, right? You ever played in Madden where, I'm not the best at Madden. I don't play it a ton. I probably play it like once a month. And you go online and you go up against someone that's just spamming the run because you can't stop it because you don't play the fucking game. So you have no idea what adjustments to make to stop it. And you're just getting the ball jammed down your throat. You can't stop anything. Pause. That is what the Vikings are going to do. They're just going to spam run until they can't anymore, right? Unless, if they start losing, then they're going to have to start throwing. But early on the game, if Jake Browning can't take out a big lead, they're just going to keep spam running the ball. Jordan Mason, bam, bam, bam. So Jordan Mason's going to get a lot of carries. I lean with Jordan Mason. Plus, Chuba Hubbard, really, dude, if he hasn't scored a touchdown back-to-back weeks, he would suck. Now, again, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, of course. Like, it's not a guarantee that he can't score again, but I'm going Mason. Ralph, thank you for the super chat. Pick 3, Henry, Bucky, Mason, Javonte. Great question. You can't sit Henry. You can't sit Bucky. And at this point, you can't sit Javonte Williams. So Mason is the odd man out. Now, Bucky Irving, again, the offensive line is severely banged up. And what that means is when you're that banged up, rushing the ball might not be as effective. But my counter argument to that would be if they can't run the ball and Baker's in trouble, you would think that Baker's going to check the ball down a ton to Rachaad White and to Bucky Irving. So I think the fact that the offensive line is banged up, they'll make up for that with a bunch of dump offs going the way of Bucky. And again, I would just find it very hard to sit Bucky in a matchup that I think they're going to be able to get up in and just run the ball a ton with Bucky late in the game. So to me, it would be impossible to sit Bucky. So I got to play him. Mason's the odd man out. Javonte Williams is way too hot. Pause. He's like way too on fire right now to contemplate sitting him. So I'm going Javonte, Henry, Bucky. All right. DK. So thank you. It's going to be Henry, Bucky, and Javonte. DK, thank you for the super chat. Much love. I love you too. Been following you for years. I really appreciate that. Whether you guys start watching today, this might be your first ever time getting the experience of listening to me speak. I know I have such a great voice. I've got the face for radio is a joke people used to make. It's pretty funny, but I appreciate you genuinely. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. I don't want to talk for too much about this stuff because you guys don't give a fuck, right? Oh no, Nick's so thankful for me. Who gives a fuck? Answer my questions. I get it. I appreciate though. I really appreciate all you guys. Full PPR, choose one wide receiver and one flex. Mike Evans. Join the Discord. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Thank you. The Discord is awesome. A lot of you guys just talking to each other. I hop in there, answer some questions. So make sure you guys are in there. But I'm going to answer all these questions. Sorry. Full PPR, choose one wide receiver, one flex. Mike Evans, Rome Odunze, Jordan Mason, Jacoby Myers. Rome Odunze is must start. The Dallas Cowboys defense just got reamed by Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson. What do you think is going to happen? Look, I get Caleb Williams isn't the best. I understand that, right? I'm not going to sit here and, die on the hill of, oh my God, he's such a great quarterback. He hasn't figured it out. I think he eventually will. But, dude, he's going to feed the ball to Rome. Rome's the wide receiver one. Win in Rome, John said. Rome, baby. Let's go with Rome Odunze. You got to play him. I mean, this guy, he might drop another 30. Did he score 30 last week? If he didn't, he could easily score 30 this week. I mean, the guy is amazing. He is amazing. Last year was Fugaz because the coaching staff is so stupid last year. I get Ben Johnson has improved a lot, but, I mean, it's night and day between him and who was it before him? Eberflus. Bunch of stooges. So, yeah, definitely got to go Rome Odunze. Then it's Jordan Mason for me. It's Jordan Mason. If Egbuka doesn't play, it's got to be Mike Evans. It's got to be Mike Evans. So write this down, DK. Oh, shit, I punched the mic. I'm sorry. If Egbuka is out, Jordan Mason. If Egbuka is in, if Egbuka is out, we're going Mike Evans. If Egbuka is in, we're going Jordan Mason. So Rome Odunze and Jordan Mason. But if Egbuka's out, you're playing Mike Evans instead. Soul, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. With Aaron Jones out, would you start Mason over ETN? I think I just have to keep playing ETN because we kind of have this rule that I've talked about for years, and it's a rule that I've been using since I started playing fantasy when I was like 8 years old. When a player plays as well as ETN has played in back-to-back games, you have to play ETN. You just have to. When it's the same thing with Javonte. Nick, you didn't really like Javonte in the summer. I didn't like ETN either. When guys are playing this well, you have to start them. I get the matchup up against the Houston Texans isn't the best, and I get Mason's matchup against the Bengals is better, but you're going to feel really foolish if you play Mason, right, in your scenario. The Carson Wentz is not able to move the ball. They're getting stuffed because they're just run committing, and it doesn't work. Again, I think Jordan Mason's going to succeed, but there's all these negatives, right? And then you sit ETN, who's been very involved in the Jaguars offense. One of the few guys where Trevor Lawrence actually has some chemistry with him and can fucking throw him the ball. I don't know what is up with Brian Thomas Jr., but I think you have to play ETN at this point. I think you're kind of just stuck doing it. RJ Basani, thank you for the super chat. Knicks, Jamar, DK, Bucky, Kyron, Evans, Egbuka, Warren, Danny Dimes, Benson, Dobbins, Chubb, Booty on the bench, lineup or trade ideas? Great question. This is going to sound stupid because you drafted Bo Nix in like the 7th round, maybe the 6th round, around that range. This week, I would play Daniel Jones over him. I think Bo Nix is a fine start. I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, dude, you got to sit Bo Nix. He's my quarterback in, I think, 2 leagues. I'm playing him. Right? He's in my lineup. But Daniel Jones has proven to, in back-to-back weeks, be able to get rushing touchdowns. He has proven in back-to-back weeks to put up high-end performances. Now, can he keep it up for the whole season? Who knows? Is this the New Orleans Saints from last year who everyone talks up, and then they're 2-0, and then by the end of the season, no one cares about them. Entirely possible. But based on how hot Daniel Jones has played, you got to rock with Daniel Jones over Bo Nix. So Daniel Jones would make the lineup. Other than that, I don't think any of those other guys you can justify making onto the team. What I would personally do is, look, I'm fine having Evans and Egbuka on the team together, but you're more of a shallow start league. And what I mean by that is you're starting, was that 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Am I stupid? Oh no, you have DK in your line. Never mind. Never mind. This is a start 8. So yeah, you're definitely fine holding both Evans and Egbuka, but if that is something that does concern you, the move I would make would be getting rid of Evans, and keeping Egbuka. I think once Evans pops off, you might want to move him for maybe another running back, but otherwise your team looks very good. There's really no changes except for putting Danny Dimes in ahead of Knicks. Your team looks very good, and again, I would be complacent just not doing anything personally. Christopher, thank you for the super chat. Pickens or Sutton, Swift or Mason? Great question. So Swift versus Mason is an easy question for me, and that's going to be Mason. Now, the thing about DeAndre Swift is, and I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've said it a million times, the thing about DeAndre Swift is he is just going to get you 10 to 15 points every week, and you're probably going to be happy about it, right? You got your 10 to 15 points. It's all good, right? And that's fine, but there's rumors of him potentially losing more of his work. And with that being said, and with the fact that he just doesn't look all that good and doesn't really have week winning upside, Jordan Mason could score 25 plus points, right? We've already seen it out of Jordan Mason before. Jordan Mason could go absolutely nuclear up against the Bengals. So while I would personally, one second. I would personally just go with Mason because I think the upside is much higher, and I think you'll feel better about Mason. So I'm going Mason. And then Pickens or Sutton is another one of those where it's not necessarily like a coin flip, meaning, oh, I have Pickens at, let's see, I'll tell you right now. I have Pickens ranked wide receiver. Where's he at? Pickens. Wide receiver 28. And I have Sutton 21, right? So there's a tier gap between them. But if you were to, make the argument, oh, I actually like Pickens more, there's just a little bit more upside in that matchup, I would be fine with that. But if it's my fantasy team, again, I answer all these questions like they're my fantasy team. My answer would be to go with Courtland Sutton up against the Chargers. Again, I just think Courtland Sutton's destined to bounce back. I don't think what happened in week 2 is going to be the long run for Sutton. So Sutton and Mason. Joshua, thank you for the super chat. Joshua Rout. Brees and Rice for Hampton, JMO, and Diggs. I get Brees. Man. It's really just a question of, like, do you believe in Hampton or not? Because if you're like me and you believe that Hampton and you think that Diggs are going to figure it out, which is what I think, then I would go ahead and trade. I mean, I would go ahead if you're confident in Hampton and Diggs. I would prefer to have Hampton, Diggs, and JMO. I like Rice a lot, but I think I'm doing this trade. I want Hampton, JMO, and Diggs. I just think Hampton's going to be a league winner. So I'm doing that trade. I am doing that trade. So yeah, that would be my lean, would be to have Hampton, JMO, and Diggs. Right now, the safer side is the Brees side, I'll be honest. But I would do the hop, skip, and jump to get Hampton, JMO, and Diggs. Labyrinth, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, I always answer the super chat questions first. Sorry, just people donate. They super chat. They spend their money. I got to answer those ones first. It would be a dick move for me not to, but I do appreciate you guys. And there will be a point in the stream where I've answered all the super chat questions and we go to the regular ones. All right, Labyrinth, who is on your team? Because if you want to trade for RJ Harvey, I need to know who's on your team. Labyrinth, I need to know who is on your team, and then we will be able to know who to offer up. Who is on your team? Who is on your team? We'll figure that out with ease. With ease. All right, let's see here. Yeah, let me know. Kevin, do I want to do a head-to-head? Yeah, send it to me. Let me know, Labyrinth, and I'll answer your question. Connor, thank you for the super chat. Half PPR, 10-man league. Pick my running back 2, wide receiver 2, and flex. PPR. All right, I got you. Kamara, Mason, London, BTJ. I'm so torn. Oh, man. I think you have to sit Mason. I think that's the answer. I'm not sitting BTJ. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't sit London. London hasn't been playing well. I can't do that. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And Labyrinth, if you want, you can just send a screenshot of your team in Discord if that's easier. I have the Discord open. And just let me know it's you. I'm sitting Mason. I can't sit, dude. I can't sit BTJ. I can't do it. I don't know. I just can't do it. I know BTJ's been bad, and I know it hasn't been good at all. I can't do it, though. I personally cannot do it. I cannot do it. I don't know what it is. I just can't sit him. I just can't sit him. So Mason's going to have to be the answer. And London, I think, is bouncing back. He was just banged up, and they ran the ball a bunch. Jay, thank you for the super chat. Start 3. Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, and JMO, and Worthy, assuming he plays. Great question. Worthy is the odd man out. Why is Worthy the odd man out, you might ask? Because the thing about Worthy is he's playing through a torn labrum. I'm going to be coming back for that number 1 spot. Labyrinth, who is on your team? Did you leave it in the chat? I need to know who's on your team so I can answer your question. It's impossible for me to answer your question without knowing who's on your team. With that said, Worthy's the odd man out because he's playing through a torn labrum. I don't know. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'll never be a doctor. I am too stupid. Yeah, it's fine, Kevin. Just send it to me. And then I'll figure out what your Venmo is, or you can figure out mine out after the fact. But what I was going to say is when you're playing through like a torn labrum, I just really don't understand how he could possibly be anything short of a low snap share guy or just a decoy. Like if he gets tackled, like that's going to be severe pain. Again, could he have a good game? Yeah, of course he could, right? But I would not feel confident in that. So my personal opinion would be just to stay away from Worthy this week. So I'm going to go Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, and JMO. Heavy CMC, the Notorious. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Full PPR. What is your opinion on Indiana Jones rest of season? My other quarterbacks are Purdy, Stroud, and A-Rod, Murray, and Dart. For week 3, run Drizzy Drake or Brees. Thinking Breezy might go off full PPR running plus receiving. Great question. That's a good question. I feel pretty good about Indiana Jones. And why do I feel good about it? Because that's kind of just one of those scenarios where you just ride it, pause until the wheels fall off. And what I mean by that is you just keep firing him up because he's playing well. Why would I sit him against the Titans? Sure, I think the Titans have an underrated defense. Sure, I don't think the Titans are like the easiest fucking matchup ever, right? I don't think this is the kind of game where they just get their backs blown out. Like, I don't think the Titans are that bad, right? But I do think that Daniel Jones, he scored rushing touchdowns in back-to-back games. He's looking very good. He throws the ball 97% of the time to the first read. And what that tells you is whatever Shane Steichen is dialing up is perfect. Because if you can throw the ball 97% of the time to your first read, then you're just going to dominate. If the first read's always open, that is so easy. It's like if you just, in Madden, if you just stared down the red guy, you know what I'm talking about? Where the route's red, that's literally what he's doing. He's just throwing the ball every time to that guy, and it just works. So I feel very good about him. And I feel good about Purdy rest of the season once he gets healthy, but I'm definitely leaning Daniel Jones over Purdy so far. And then I'd go Drake London. Again, I just think he's going to bounce back. I think the reason why he struggled was because the team just ran the ball at such a high clip. I don't expect them to be running the ball at that high of a clip every single game because, again, that was a game where from Jump Street, they were just coasting. The Vikings couldn't do anything. I expect this game to be at least more high scoring. So for me, I feel better about Drizzy, Drake London. Breece Hall maybe a little bit safer, but Tyrod's playing. I think I would lean with Drake London, and I feel very good about Indiana Jones going forward. Well, Allie, Tyreek already caught a ball over 30 yards last week. So that narrative's dead. But yeah, I think he catches a 30-yard bomb again today. But Will, thank you for the super chat. Will says Bijan, JSN, Hurts, Tracy. Questionable. Laporta, Ertz, flex. Boswell, Atlanta defense, bench. Worthy, Scattaboo, Daniel Jones, Troy Franklin, Sheed. Any trade or free agent advice? Okay, so what I would do personally is I would take Tracy out of my lineup if Tracy's in your lineup right now and kick him to the curb and put Scatabo in. I think Tracy could outsnap him this week, but a lot of teams kind of just run in this scenario with the hot hand, and if they just trust Scatabo a little bit more, they'll keep running with Scatabo. What I would look to do is probably offload. Oh, man, I mean, your team is pretty good. You have Hurts. You have a pretty competent quarterback. You have a good tight end. Your biggest question mark is RB2. Your biggest question mark is RB2. I don't know who your receivers are besides JSN Worthy. Okay. What I would probably look to do in your scenario is get rid of Hurts. When Hurts has a big game, trade Hurts away and get a more reliable running back too and other pieces, and you will feel so much better about your team. That's what I would do. I would offload Hurts for a better QB2. Thanks, Dad. For a better QB2. So I would go personally. I would put Scattaboo in over Tracy, and I would trade Hurts. After that, I would trade Hurts for a more viable running back too. And I think that's a very smart move. Thank you again for the super chat because your team does look good, and your team will be fine with Daniel Jones instead of Hurts. And honestly, Hurts to me, he seems kind of like I think he's going to have a good game against the Rams. But if the offense is really able to just, play like they did against the Chiefs, then they really you don't need Hurts to be like a top 8 quarterback for fantasy for them to be successful. And that's really scary. If you're a Hurts owner. Should I trade Mason for a quarterback like Herbert or use him for a wide receiver? Team is Kyler Murray, Russ, Bijan, A-Chain, JT, Mason, Harvey, Terry, Tet, Worthy, Hollywood, and Pitts. I mean, your team looks good. I would probably just stick rocking with Murray, personally, rather than trading Mason for Herbert. Because if Aaron Jones misses a serious amount of time, then Mason could easily be a league winner. And even if Aaron Jones does return, Aaron Jones is old. He could easily get hurt again. And if Mason's playing well, they might just give the keys to the backfield to Mason over Jones. So I think I would just keep rocking with Kyler. He's been reliable enough that I feel pretty good about just keeping Mason as like a reliable-ish flex for you, in my opinion. So with your team, you have good enough depth that you could get rid of Mason for a wide receiver. So if you're going to trade him, don't trade him for a quarterback. Trade him for a wide receiver 3 that you feel better about. So if you're keen on trading him, trade him for a wide receiver. If you don't want to trade him, which is fine, I'm fine just starting him. But yeah, if you want to trade him, don't trade him for a quarterback. Trade him for a wide receiver. And Labyrinth, did you leave your team in the chat or in Discord or something so I can answer your question? Trade. I get BTJ and O'Marion. They get Drake London, Justin Fields, and Troy Franklin. You are clicking the yes button, Rodney, instantly. You are instantly clicking the yes button. Look, that trade might come out at the end of the day and it might suck, right? Because like if BTJ and O'Marion never figure it out, you're going to feel like shit. But what I will tell you is this is the kind of trade that's only ever going to come to you in week 2, right? After next week, if either of those guys has a halfway decent game, you're never getting that trade again. You accept that instantly. We don't even need to talk about it more. You accept it instantly. That's an instant accept. Cash, thank you for the super chat. I have T-Hawk. Do I hold Fannin and Goddard on waivers? Look, I am playing Fannin this week over Hawkinson. You can hold him one more week and just see, like, will Carson Wentz do it? Will Carson Wentz feed him? It's possible. But honestly, if you cut him straight up right now, if you just say, fuck it, I'm done, and you didn't have to super chat, Labyrinth, by the way. I could have just read your chat. You could just say, I'm done with them and cut him for Fannin, and I'm perfectly fine with that too. So if you have another piece on your bench and you can cut that piece and get Fannin on your team, go right ahead and do that. If you want to outright cut Hawkinson for Fannin, I'm fine with that too. I'm done with Fannin. I'm done with Hawkinson. Done with it. How do I feel about Waddle tonight? Waddle plays okay against the Bills. I don't love it. Michael, pick 3 PPR, QJ, Moore, Coleman, Ramondre, JCM. I think Ramondre is kind of a trap this week. What I mean by that is Ramondre played really good against the Dolphins. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the pieces to be good. They haven't been good, though. I think Ramondre kind of feels like fool's gold this week. So I'm not playing Ramondre. The Dolphins defense is just that bad against the run. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. They can't stop the run at all. That's why James Cook is on the thumbnail. James Cook is going to be a beast tonight. So I would lean DJ Moore, Quentin Johnston, Coleman, and I'm going Merritt. But I will tell you, the safer bet instead of Merritt is to play Ramondre. So I'm going everyone but Ramondre, but if you want to be safer, oh wait, never mind. You don't even have to play Merritt. So just go with the 3 receivers: QJ, Moore, Coleman. I feel very good about that. Agreed. You are the man. Thank you, my G. No problem, Heavy CMC. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you to everyone that's watching. Make sure you guys leave a like on the stream. We're almost done with the super chats, so we're gonna be able to get to the regular questions. Hey, champ. What's up, Greg? How are you doing? Pick 1. Flex. Charbonnet, Ridley, or Austin? Great question. Now, Charbonnet's banged up. He didn't practice today, or if he did, it was limited. Zach Charbonnet, Roto World. I don't want to say something and then be wrong. Zach Charbonnet, absent with a foot injury, didn't practice on Thursday. Thursday is not the death of the guy, right? So, like, if you don't practice on Thursday, it's not necessarily finito for you, but it's not good. Not good at all. So I'm going to play Ridley. I don't want to play Austin. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Austin's a fine player. But I just don't trust Rodgers right now. I don't trust him enough. So I would go Ridley. I think this is going to be Ridley's best game yet. And I think Ridley's going to keep building on that and start playing better. So that would be my lean here. And I just want to make sure I didn't put the same lineup in twice here in DFS because we do that all the time. And I did do that. That is a typical move done by me where I'm not super locked in putting my lineups in. But yeah, I would go Ridley. Anonymous, thank you for the super chat. Pick 2, Hendy, Diggs, Fannin, Palmer might have no BTJ. Is Brian Thomas Jr. not going to play? Brian Thomas Jr. Limited. He was limited. He should play. I'm playing Fannin and I'm playing Diggs. I like Fannin a decent amount. Fannin has a really good matchup, one of the best matchups for tight end, so I feel good about him. Look, I love Henderson. I think Henderson is very talented. I think Henderson still has league winner written all over him, but based upon what we saw last week, how can you feel any way confident enough to start him? You can't, right? You can't make an argument to me that you actually feel good starting him. Can he have a good game? Yes, but I don't feel good at all starting him. I don't feel good enough about the touches. And I think Diggs is going to keep getting ramped up more and more and more with the touches. So I'm personally going to play Diggs and Fannin. Joey, thank you for the super chat. Joey Ford, pick 2, full PPR. Mason, Shakir, Hampton. Great question. Mason's a lock, and I'm going Hampton. I like Shakir, like the way I think about Shakir is, and I said it in the wide receiver starts it video, Shakir is basically AFC East Wan'Dale Robinson. And what that means is Wan'Dale Robinson before last week was just a guy that gets you 10 to 12 points. He gets a lot of volume. He doesn't do a crazy amount with it. But if you're in a full PPR, half PPR league, he gets it done for you. He's good enough for you to be able to win your week because he's not going to screw the pooch. Whereas Hampton could score 5 points, right? But I'm going to go with Hampton. Again, I really do still believe he's the guy. He's had a bunch of tough matchups. This matchup is easier. So for me, it's Coleman and it's Mason. Mason's got a really good spot. R, thank you for the super chat. Coleman or Wandale in the flex. This is one of those risk tolerance questions. How risky do you want to be? Keon Coleman, very risky. Very risky. I could see Keon Coleman scoring 3 fantasy points. I could see him scoring 15 or 20 fantasy points and kicking my Dolphins in the cojones. My lean would be with Wandale. He's a little bit safer, similar upside. I go Wandale personally. Labyrinth, thank you for the super chat. So you could trade away Smitty, Shakir, Tracy Jr., TJ Hawkinson, Jatavian Sanders. Yeah, I know my team is that good. It's okay. I'm not trading away Smitty for J.K. Dobbins. I'm just not doing that. Not for Dobbins, for Harvey, you said. I would try to trade away Tracy or Hawkinson. You're definitely going to get him. So just do Hawkinson or any of Shakir, Tracy, or Hawkinson are 100% gone, in my opinion. I can't trade away Devontae Smith yet, even though I think Devontae Smith is bad. I would not be able to get rid of him. I would not be able to cut ties with Devontae Smith for him because, look, Devontae Smith is 9,000 times safer than RJ Harvey on a weekly basis as of right now. So Hawkinson, Tracy, Shakir, they're all expendable, in my opinion, for RJ Harvey. And honestly, you might just want to trade someone that's in your actual lineup away if your team isn't playing well and trying to get a more reliable running back. But yeah, I think the only one of those guys that I would not move is Smith, because I think all you have to do for Smitty, because Smitty is literally a household name. Everyone knows who Devontae Smith is, right? Because he's in the playoffs all the time. He's on one of the most popular teams in the league. Everyone knows who he is. So all you have to do when it comes to him is wait for him to have one good game, and he's worth significantly more. Yeah, you can start the Bills defense. The Bills defense is going to go nuclear tonight, would be my assumption. Now, deep down, obviously, I'm a Dolphins fan. I bet on the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins could win. You know, if they play this game 10 times, the Dolphins maybe win 1 time. But, you know, you ever seen Miracle on Ice? You know, maybe tonight's that night, you know? Maybe tonight's the night that the stars align and the Dolphins win. But, yeah, I think the Bills defense is good. And, yeah, I would just for Smith, you just wait till he has a big game and then you ship him off. I don't have any faith that the Finns will actually win the game, just so you're aware. But yeah, I'd be fine getting rid of any of those guys except for Devontae Smith. And thank you for the super sticker of is that a hippo? The hippopotamus? Thank you. Ray Rodriguez. Start Coleman tonight or Worthy? I'm playing Coleman. Look, Worthy could have a good game. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible for Worthy to have a good game because nothing is impossible, right? But he's hurt. He has a torn labrum. How is he going to catch the ball with a torn labrum and a harness a million times? Like, there's going to be times where the ball hits him probably right in the fucking chest or in the arms and he just misses it. Something that would be a routine catch for him. So for me, I would prefer to stay away from Worthy and just go with Coleman. Hi there. It's been a pinch. I'm in a bit of a pinch and could use some advice. VS Box. Thank you for the super chat. Which 2 would you start in the flex? Judy, Kincaid, Scatterboo, Franklin. My tight end 1 is Ertz. I'm going to be honest with you. I am not the kind of person that you will ever catch starting 2 tight ends in a just normal full PPR, half PPR league, standard league, because for tight ends, most of the reason why they're good is because they score a touchdown, right? A receiver like Franklin could not score a touchdown and still have a good game. Especially for a guy like Kincaid, he really, really, really needs to score to have that good game. So I would go ahead and lean with playing Franklin because I trust that Franklin will at least get enough targets to keep his head above water, and he could have that big game again where he's the number 1 weapon on the team. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but I could see the game playing out that way. So, in my opinion, Franklin would be number 1, and then I would just play Judy based on the fact that I would find it hard to sit Judy in your scenario because I just don't trust a lot of the other guys. So That's how I would look to do it. I would play Franklin and I would play Judy just because, look, I don't really trust Scatterboo and I don't really want to play a tight end in my flex. Thanks for blessings, big dog. Can I get a Las Vegas Raiders? Of course, the Las Vegas Raiders. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. I don't know how my mic works on stream. Like if it gets adjusted, because on my videos, I crank the volume down because I scream loud and it fucking breaks. Joshua, you're glad you drafted Jacoby Myers? So am I. I'm glad you drafted him too. All right, I put my lineup in, Kevin, by the way. Ben, thank you for the super chat. Flex, Keon, T, Brees, Sutton, Monty. You can only start one? You can only start one. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if my mic clipped or something. That's like always the biggest worry of like talking loud on stream is I don't know if my mic will clip. Like I can edit it in post. You can't necessarily edit a clip out, but you can make it sound a little bit better in post production. Whereas like on the live stream, obviously I can't just go out and edit it in the middle of me talking. But this is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. Whether win or lose, we love them. For the shoe. Okay, wait, I don't like this line. So I would flex. Okay, I would flex Sutton. Sorry about just jabbering on about all that. I would flex Sutton. I think Sutton's gonna bounce back. I would just be very, very, very hard pressed to see Sutton not Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, too. Okay. I would be very hard pressed to see Sutton shit the bed again. That would be my lead there. So I would personally lean with Sutton. I just cannot see him playing that bad again. I just don't think it's very likely that he's that abysmal again. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he is that bad again, but that's the way that I would personally lean is with Sutton. I feel good about Sutton. If you want to be safe, just play Brees. Your mic levels are fucked. Are they really? Hi, Kate. What's up? Yo. Pick two. Coleman, DJ Moore, Dobbins, or Diggs? Big Daddy game. That's funny. I would go Coleman and DJ Moore. I think Diggs is going to be better, though. Dude, I love the Bleed Blue song. That's not my song, by the way. That's obviously Seth, the super fan from the Colts, that sings that. Thoughts on Evan Ingram? Look, I think he is fine rest of season. Like, I think he'll eventually figure it out. But I think based on right now, you just don't want to have Evan Ingram in your lineup. I just don't think that's the best scenario is to have him in your lineup right now. I would play, but based on the guys you're picking up, you're playing Evan Ingram. Yeah, he did pass the ball to T. Higgins a ton. In last year in 2023, audio is going higher, lower, higher. Well, it's because it cuts out the what's it called? It cuts out all the random noise that goes on around me, like the fan that's right behind me. That's why the flag's moving. But yeah, sorry if the audio is a little bit messed up. Half PPR flex: Waddle, Romeo Dobbs, Manor. I'm thinking Waddle. I'm just nervous about the injury. Yeah, in your scenario, you just have to go Waddle. I like Romeo Dobbs in a lot of scenarios, but this game against the Cleveland Browns to me kind of just seems like a layup game. What I mean by that is they're probably just going to be winning and coast to victory where they don't really have to do too much. And what that will lead to is just kind of a mid game. Just kind of a mid game out of Romeo Dobbs. If they're just able to run a ton, you're not going to need to use you're not going to need to feed the ball to Romeo Dobbs, right? Like his upside is scoring that touchdown. So I would probably try to just stay away from Romeo Dobbs again, because if they're just running the ball a ton, they won't have to throw. And it's not like the Cleveland Browns are going to score a bunch of points to lead them to have to do that. So that would be my kind of lean. It would be to play Waddle personally. I don't think Waddle's gonna have the best game ever, but he just feels so much more reliable compared to all the other guys that you have. So I would go Waddle. Half PPR, Golden, Coleman, Tillman. Great question. It's gonna be Coleman for me. The Packers defense is very, 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 very tough. So that would be my lean, would be to stay away from just that matchup as a whole. I like Golden a lot. Like, I think Golden probably becomes the number one receiver on that team and starts to look very, very good as we get further into the season. But as of right now, I just don't feel good about him because it doesn't seem like him and Love have that connection yet. So I would just go with. Oh man, oh man. I thought for a second you were talking about. Oh no, it is Keon Coleman. Never mind. I just fucking had like a straight up brain fart. Yeah, Keon Coleman for sure. Dave Harvey, thank you for the super chat. BTJ, Wilson, Sutton, Pearsall, Ridley. Look, you have to play BTJ. That's just like a hard and fast rule here. You got to play BTJ this week. I get BTJ has been screwing us over for the last 2 weeks, but you can't sit him. Then I can't sit Sutton either, and I'm still going to rock with Garrett Wilson. It's tough between Garrett Wilson and Ricky Pearsall, but I think, I think Pearsall's safer than Garrett Wilson. So if you're just strictly being like BTJ is a big risk, I want to be safe, then I would play. And honestly, based on your team, in my opinion, I do adjust who I play. It's not always just who's my highest ranked player. It's based on risk too, because there's risk involved always with setting your lineup. This lineup with BTJ, Wilson, and Sutton would be very risky, in my opinion. So I would go ahead and make that move. And I would go ahead and do Pearsall, Sutton, and BTJ. That would be my lean. Sutton, Pearsall, BTJ. That's how we're going. Sutton, Brees Hall, BTJ. Just because Garrett Wilson's a little risky with Tyrod. They should add head coaches to fantasy football. They do have head coaches in fantasy football. Enjoy the game. Yes, sir. It's saying tight ends only average 6.7 points against the Browns. Yeah, that doesn't, like, you're still playing Tucker Kraft. Who have the Browns played against? I'll tell you right now. Because I pointed this out in the tight end video. The Browns played against Mark Andrews, who's just useless. And Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant. That's why. Geno Smith, Aaron Joe. I would go Browning or Geno. Probably Geno. Green Bay defense, a motherfucker. I agree. They're really good. Amon-Ra, Pickens, or Genty Garrett. I would rather have Amon-Ra and Pickens. Would you start Tyreek over JSN, Devontae, or Rome this week? No. It is a close call too, Spock. I agree with that. Game starts at 8:15. Yeah, make sure you guys are locked in. Build my brother's lineup. Okay. May or Mayfield. I would go May. Lad, Igbuka. So then I go Lad and Igbuka, Barkley, Swift, Pickens. Tyreek or Coleman? Tyreek. Look, I understand that Tyreek has not been the best. And I understand Tyreek actually has not been the best also up against his matchup this week against the Bills, but you simply cannot sit him. So yeah, I would go Tyreek. You just can't sit Tyreek. Like sitting Tyreek here in a game where there should be down and have to throw a ton, like he could just luck box into scoring a touchdown. Like without even doing much, he could just randomly score a touchdown based off of pure luck. So that's kind of the way that I would lean, is just assuming he's going to luck box his way to potentially score. And that's good enough for me to actually start him. So I would go with Tyreek. I can't sit Tyreek for Keon Coleman. There's so much risk with both Tyreek and Keon Coleman that I'd rather just go with the guy that I think is way better. So I would lean Tyreek. One Dose Creator, thank you for the super chat. Coleman, Marv, Lad, Pearsall. If Lad plays, I can't sit Lad. I know Lad has been bad. The little Lad has been really bad, but I don't think I can cut bait on him yet. I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing so. So I got to play Lad and I got to play Marv. Again, I think you're going to probably experience a roller coaster ride with Marv again, But what I will say is that was bad game script for Marvin Harrison. And what I mean by that was bad game script is that was not the kind of game where you end up seeing Marv have a great game because they're just running the ball a ton, right? You run the ball a ton, you don't have to throw. It leads to Marv being pretty so-so. Whereas this week, they should be in a game where they at least have to throw the ball. So I'd lean Marv and Ladd. And if Ladd doesn't play, you just play Pearsall. Sitting Waddle too. I'm fine sitting Waddle. You think DK will start to get more looks? I think DK is going to be fine. So yeah, I would agree with that. Full flex spot, Kyron, JMO, Higgins. I would play JMO. Outlook on Little Bill. I think he's going to be good, but he's not a guy you want to be starting this week, in my opinion. I have to start him in one of my leagues, but it's not one of those scenarios where it's like I would feel super confident playing him. Adams, ETN, or Debo. I would go ETN. I like Adams too, but I'd have to lean ETN. Would you trade McConkey for AJ Brown? Fuck no. No, in my opinion. I think you're trading one risky player for another, and you're just taking on way more risk with AJ Brown. Should I drop Cortland Sutton now? No, you can't drop Cortland Sutton. Even I think could Franklin beat out Sutton? Yeah, but you're just gonna feel so dumb if you get rid of Sutton. In my opinion, like there's just too much risk. Like you will straight up feel terrible if you drop him and he plays like he should. So yeah, you can't cut him. Thoughts on Jaylen Warren and James Conner? I like them, but I do think eventually Jaylen Warren might lose his number one role. Two wide receivers, two flexes, full PPR. You have Drake. I'm gonna answer this real quick and then get to the super chat. I'm going Drake. I'm going to Dunze, and I'm going Marv. That looks good to me. We buy homes near you. Is that the correct answer? Oh no, you need another flex. No, yeah, your lineup's correct. T, Smith, and Dobbins should be on the bench. We buy homes near you. Thank you for the super chat. Flex, Igbuka or Higgins, Murray or Dimes. I'm going Dimes and non-PPR. It doesn't matter for the quarterbacks, but I'd go Daniel Jones. He just keeps rushing in touchdowns, so you got to just feel good about him. And he's just a little bit safer than Kyler. And then Igbuka versus Higgins. I would want to play Igbuka because I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on any given week are more likely to score a touchdown to Igbuka compared to Higgins without Joe Burrow and with Jake Browning. So to me, it's easy. Igbuka if he plays and Dimes. Eric Furio, thank you for the super chat. Should I start Olave or Higgins? I would go Higgins. Olave might feel a little bit safer deep down, but Olave is just always risky because he's linked to a quarterback that's not very good. Higgins, I get Jake Browning isn't the best, but Higgins in 2023 scored more points on a per game basis with Jake Browning compared to Jamar Chase, and Higgins was more consistent, and Higgins had bigger games. So I would definitely lean with Higgins over Olave. I'm sitting Higgins in one of my leagues, but that's just because I have roughly 7,000 wide receivers. Trade Wilson for Jawan Johnson. If you need a tight end, I'm fine doing it. A lot of the time, I try not to overreact to the first 2 weeks of the season, but I think Jawan Johnson kind of looks like a top 5 tight end option. With that said, I would try to experiment with trading someone else on your team before you trade Garrett Wilson. That would be my lean on things. It would be to try to figure out who else you could fucking trade before you have to go with Garrett Wilson shipping off your team. But if you have to, I'm fine doing it. JH, gotta panic, half PPR. I'm just making sure none of these guys are in the game tonight. Okay, Wandale, Judy, Golden, Benson, Franklin. Also drop Caleb or hold. At this point, I'm fine dropping Caleb. You could hold him for one more game, but I'd probably drop him. And in your scenario, I'm going to play Wandale because Wandale is just a super safe bet every single week. And he also has the upside to score a big game, which I didn't think he previously had, but he clearly does have now based on what we saw happen on Sunday. So I would go Wandale. Just feels like the safest bet and probably the highest upside bet outside of Franklin. Jaylen Warren versus the Pats or James Conner. For me, 1 minute. Should I buy Quentin Johnston? I don't love buying in on Quentin Johnston, and I'm keeping Mark Andrews for one more game. I would find it hard to cut him, though. He's not a lot of my teams because last year he did the same thing and started to play really good. Breece Hall over Jordan Mason, yes, but it's basically 50-50. Basically 50-50. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the Discord and like the Patreon section. I didn't. Great. Stafford or Penix? Penix. Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson? Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. Thank you. Which defense? Falcons, Seahawks, Vikings. I lean with the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has been a wagon in back-to-back weeks. The Vikings, I think the Vikings are a smart start, but I wouldn't be surprised if what's his name goes out there and fucking lights them up. Like if Jake Browning lit them up like a Christmas tree. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I just feel the safest with them personally. Thoughts on Jaden Daniels and Tyler Warren rest of the season? No, you got to keep them. They're going to be fine. As long as they're both healthy, you're starting them. Good luck. Rooting for the Finns? Me too. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Spock. Love you a long time. Let's eat that W. See you, Caitlin. I appreciate you guys. You like Stafford this week above? Stafford actually plays pretty well against the Eagles. He just has no rushing upside, so it just feels boring to play him. Rate my starting team. Like and subscribe. Fact Brady. What's up, Arlen? Thank you. Rate my starting team. Josh Allen, BTJ, JSN, Genty, Brees Hall, Ingram. It looks pretty good outside of Ingram. I'll give you like an 8 because Ingram's so bad. Yo, great kick return from Miami. The game already fucking started, and I'm not even watching. Amazon. All right, we got to go. We got to go watch the game. We got to lock in. Go Dolphins. Fuck the Bills as always till it's backwards. If you wanted Bucky, who would you send for a trade? Right now, you could trade literally anyone that's not like a top 5 at either position for Bucky. I'd be fine with that. Salute. Which duo do you like? Keenan Allen. I would go Allen and Jennings. Traded Zay for BTJ. I like it. I like it. I like it. Warren or Juwan? Warren. Ricky Pearsall or Sutton? I like Sutton. Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson? Daniel Jones. Debo Franklin. Ted McMillan. Need a flex. We're going with Tet. Love you guys. Long time. Go Dolphins. See you later. Goodbye. I got to go. I got to go watch the game. Love you guys so much. Have a good one. Peace out.